Hello everyone, I'm Crafty and welcome back to my channel. I know, it's been a while. It's been a very long time since I've done one of these, but hey, can you blame me? With how shitty the meta was in Master Duel, there was no reason for me to play, especially with how old the deck was without the new support. But finally we have an official statement, an announcement about the new Dragunity card coming to Master Duel. So I'm very excited to be playing with these new cards, and I can't wait to climb the ladder with these new cards because I am going to, for the first time ever, rank up to Master 1 with this deck. Okay, before I didn't really feel like it because the deck was kinda weak into other meta decks, but now we actually have tools. We actually have many tools to play around with and actually climb at a better pace and in a more fun way as well. Okay, so I am going for this Master 1 climb and maybe even play more in rated once I reach Master 1, but we will see. And because these cards are coming to Master Duel, I have an announcement to make. I am going to be more serious about making content about Dragunity in the future. I am going to be more serious about growing my YouTube channel, and also, more importantly, I am going to be streaming a lot. Okay, so expect me to stream almost every day, and maybe not every day, but almost every day, because I love this deck to death. I have been testing this in OCG simulators a lot, I'm excited. I'm excited, man, to play with these cards. So yeah, expect me to stream a lot. So make sure to follow me on Twitch, like twitch.tv/craftymind4. All the links are in the description down below. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube, you join the Discord to get notified whenever I upload on YouTube and whenever I go live on Twitch. So yeah, so if you want to hang around, hang out in the chat and just come support me as I climb in the ladder and want to chat about anything really, not just like Dragunity or Yu-Gi-Oh. Like we can have fun together. So yeah, so I'd really appreciate it if you come hang out on Twitch. And I will be streaming the day the selection pack is released, by the way. So keep an eye on that. Make sure to follow on Twitch to be notified about that. So yeah, so with that being said, let's actually talk about deck lists and combos and whatnot. Okay, so here is a deck list that I cooked up for a specific goal in mind, which is basically to teach people how to play this deck at a basic level. This is just a pure version of the deck, no bestials, no other secondary engines. It's just pure. It functions on its own, it's competent enough, but it's not meant to be competitive. Okay, so this is not a list that is meant to be super competitive. This is more meant as a entry level deck list for people who want to learn the deck, or for people who played Dragunity before but came back and want to learn how the deck functions now. Okay, so that's the main goal of this deck list. So I'm gonna skip over the non-engine part of the deck list because it's self-explanatory. However, I want to point out that there are certain cards in this deck list that you can cut out if you don't feel like playing them, and that can be replaced with more non-engine if you want to, or you can go over 40. I would recommend to not go over 43, maybe 44 cards, just to keep the deck consistent. This list right here that you see in front of you is very consistent as it is, and it does the job perfectly, basically, as an entry-level deck list. So yeah, I'm gonna skip over the non-engine. I'm gonna go straight into the starters here. So for starters, we play 3 copies of Querness, 3 copies of Remus, 3 copies of Ravine. We play Gold Sark and Tempest, and we play the Rainbow Bridge package, which consists of Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, Foolish Burial Goods, and the Cobalt Eagle. So the reason why I play the Rainbow Bridge package is because of Drawl. Okay, I'm expecting to be going into a Drawl meta once the selection pack releases. I mean, it's already a Drawl meta anyway right now. So yeah, and it's gonna be even more Drawl meta after that. And the Rainbow Bridge package helps you play around Drawl, because if you can get access to a way to send this Rainbow Bridge to the graveyard as the first action, then once you start playing, if they draw you, you can just chain Rainbow Bridge and add Divine Wind plus Cobalt Eagle to your hand. And Divine Wind is one of your best extenders when you're playing under Drawl. okay? So because it accesses your resources from the deck directly and completely bypasses draw basically. So yeah, of course there are some niche cases where you're gonna have to add Ravine instead of Divine Wind, but most of the time you're gonna add Divine Wind with the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, okay? And because you chain this to draw, then you have you draw like your last extender, and then the draw takes effect, and hopefully that's enough to play under draw and win you the game. On top of these starters, we play some tech cards and extenders that will help with certain situations. The first one is Foolish Burial. This card is amazing as an extender because we have different like cards that we can send with. We can send like the Destrudo, the Ringo Worm, the Tuners, and specifically also Zephyros, which is the strongest card that you can send with Foolish Burial if you don't have access to it already. So the first target is Zephyros and the second target is Destrudo basically. These two cards are really good targets for Foolish Burial because they allow you to extend through disruption. Also, you notice I'm playing like these two quick play spell cards. If you don't know what these cards are, these are the Swallows cards. So this one is Swallow's Cowrie and this one is Swallow's Nest. Now what these cards do basically is they allow you to tribute a winged beast and get you access to another winged beast with the same level. The winged beast that you access can be the same exact one that you tributed. Okay, the only restriction is that they need to be with the same level. And if you notice here in the deck list, we play 9 winged beasts. We play 3 Fuvalos, 3 Querness, 1 Negatus, 1 Zephyros, and 1 Cobalt Eagle. And lucky for us, all these winged beasts are all level 4s. So what we can do with these cards is 1, fix our hand, especially when we draw like a winged beast that we don't really want to draw. For example, like the Cobalt Eagle, right? Or the Fuvalos going first. So these cards can allow you to basically transform these garnets or bricks into actual starters. That's 1. 2, Cowrie specifically allows you to do that under draw. Now Cowrie can tribute from hand and face up field, whereas Nest can only tribute from face up field. Okay, so Cowrie can be used in the draw phase to access either a starter in Querness, or if you already have Querness and you have starters, you can just tribute, for example, a Fuvalos to get an extender, for example. Maybe you can get like a Legatus or a Zephyros. So that's really good to play around draw in the draw phase. Also, Nest has an added bonus of avoiding targeted disruption on your Querness. Okay, because you normal summon Querness, you activate the effect to search. So, sometimes you're just gonna get Veilored or the Impermed, especially in this Cruel Tune meta. So what you can do is that if you draw the Nest, you can just dodge it basically. It's a free dodge, right? And you can just dodge it and summon another copy of itself. So another copy of Querness. And you can get access to the second effect of Querness and continue from there. So that's nice to have. Now the main reason why I'm not playing multiple copies of these cards when they are like pretty good in this deck list is because, again, the main reason why I'm playing them is to fix my hand and get access to like either starters or extenders or dodge targeted disruption, right? So I don't want to brick on multiple copies of them. So that's why I only play 1 of each. Okay, honestly, there is an argument to be playing maybe like an extra copy of Nest, because this card is really good at avoiding targeted disruption on Querness, because Querness is our most important card to resolve. So maybe there is an argument for that, but for now, 1 copy of each is nice. And usually when they come up, when you draw them with like either a Fuvalos or like maybe you get unlucky and draw the Cobalt Eagle. This will help you fix that. Besides that, we play like the Glow and Mistletoe package. We play the Divine Lance, which is very important in the combo. And yeah, that's pretty much it. One last thing is that I play 2 Falchion in this list because even though you only need 1 Falchion for the combo, and yes, it's pronounced Falchion, by the way, not Falchion. I used to call it Falchion at the start, but I did my research. It's pronounced Falchion. So yeah, so I used to play 1 Falchion for the combo, but I realized that the board breaking effect of Falchion when it is in the spell and trap zone is really strong. Like it's really strong, especially when you go second. It helps you break boards because not a lot of boards now have a spell chop negate. And even on turn 0, like when you play your first turn, and the opponent is playing on your turn 0, you can just access a second copy and just banish one of their face up cards on turn 1, and that can like completely shift the game into your advantage immediately, you know, because nowadays people like to play at turn 0 a lot, and this card helps you break that board even on your first turn. So that's really good. So yeah, so that was the main deck. Basically the extra deck, it's also self-explanatory. Like you have your link monsters, which are all important except maybe Striker Dragon. Striker Dragon is the most cuttable one out of the links, because you don't go into it very often, because most of the cases when you want to go into Striker Dragon, you can just go into Triple Burst, and Triple Burst here is more important than Striker Dragon, because Triple Burst is not only part of many combos, but also this is the way you play Underdraw. Okay, and I will show you later how you play Underdraw. So yeah, so out of the 6 links, Striker Dragon is the most cuttable. For Xyz, we play Atom because we're playing the Mistletoe plus Claw. This card can come up in certain combos. It's not completely necessary, but certain combos require you to have a Atom, so it's kind of semi-mandatory basically. Now you have Lewin, mandatory, Gaiderk, literally the reason you play the deck. Ancient Fairy Dragon goes well with Destrudo, and it opens up certain combo lines that are better into certain disruptions. Barca, mandatory. Ares, dogshit card. Like it's very badly designed, and it's very awkward to summon, very awkward to make use of. It's a very bad card, but I still put it in the extra deck because it's just the best target that you can summon with Georgius. That's the only reason. Like sometimes you just end on Arid Bear as part of your end board, and you don't have another target to summon with Georgius on the opponent's turn. This is where Ares comes into play. It also comes into play in very niche situation where Georgius Floodgate effect is not really that great, in which case you can just move the Lewin from Georgius to Ares, and now you have a semi Omni Negate. So yeah, it comes up like very rarely, but when it comes up, it's kind of useful, and it's also very free to cheat out. Like you never make this actually properly. It's very rare that you make this properly. It's just here as a target to cheat out with the Georgius basically. Savage is really strong in this deck because it synergizes very well with Georgius, because Georgius only needs to send one equip card that you control in order to negate a spell card or effect. And that can be any equip card on the field, on your field, including the equip card that is equipped to Savage. So you can just send that instead of the Lewin, and that helps you keep the Floodgate effect online on Georgius every time. And finally, you have Crystal Wing and Arid Bear. Those are your ways to protect yourself from Nibiru, mainly, and also they are part of your end board as well. So yeah. In the side deck here, they're just cards that you can consider once you get used to this starter deck list. You can add in like the Kashtira package here with like 3 Fenrir, 1 Rise Heart, and 1 Arsenal Falcon. I will do another video about this package later. You can also like swap out 2 cards from the extra deck for like Dispatter plus Axel Synchro if you want to, which opens up a different lines. You can swap out 2 cards for like Doomed Dragon plus Hope Harbinger for another combo lines if you want to. You can also play like the level 12 packages, and especially if you want to play like a counter trap, if like board breakers are relevant in the meta or something. You can play like a specific targets for Seal if you want to. I think the best target is like Grandtusk Dragon for an extra 2 pop. And finally, there is the Hulky Fabrics Prism, which I doubt that it will be released in the selection pack. So the deck functions differently if you have access to this card. Okay, so we're gonna have to see what the selection pack actually has. If we end up getting this card, then I will make an updated video to tell you guys how to play the deck with this card, because it's a complete night and day how you play this deck with and without Hulky Fibrax Prism. But I doubt that we're gonna have it. That's why I put Triple Burst Dragon in the extra deck, because that's a more realistic thing to expect, basically. So yeah, so with the deck list out of the way, let's hop into the combos and let's see what you can do in this list, because I have a lot to show you guys. So the first thing I'm going to be showcasing is how to play under draw. So preferably, if we get the Hulky Fibrax Prism in this pack, Queerness alone can help us play under draw even better than what I'm about to show you, okay? But since this deck list assumes we don't have access to the Hulky Fibrax, then you need Queerness plus an extender. It can be any extender, it doesn't need to be a Legatus. I'm just using Legatus as an example here. So what you do here is normal summon Queerness and search Divine Lance, okay? On this search, you're gonna get drawn, okay? Now here's what you do. You activate Lance, you access Fortune. Now you bounce back the Fortune and you summon it back with the Queerness. Immediately go into Romulus. Then you activate the Fortune to equip the Phalanx from the deck. And you summon the Phalanx. So preferably you summon the Phalanx here and not the Koos, because we want to keep the Koos in the deck for Barca lines later, okay? Because you want to keep it in the deck so that you can equip it from the deck with Divine Wind, okay? If you want to extend. Okay, so preferably you want to equip and summon the Phalanx here, but sometimes you don't have a choice, okay? So once you summon the Phalanx, now you summon the extender. Phalanx is going into Pisty, and then we're going to link off the extender plus Romulus into Triple Burst Dragon. Now we can use Pisty to summon back the banished Fortune, and now we can use Fortune and Triple Burst to go into Georgius. Georgius is going to summon the Lewin from the deck, and Lewin is going to equip the Phalanx, but this step is not important. This is only important if you want to play around Cold Buy on Seal. So you just summon the Phalanx to tribute with Seal instead of just tributing itself. But it's not necessary. So now we can go into Seal with Pisty and Lewin, and Lewin is going to activate in the graveyard to equip onto Georgius, and we pass turn. So what we accomplished here under draw with just Queerness plus an extender is having the Seal in the EMZ. We have Georgius already equipped with Lewin, so the Floodgate effect is already online. Plus, you have the Spell and Trap Negate, and you can summon on the opponent's turn Arid Bear or Ares, depending on what you need against the deck you're playing. So you have basically 3 disruptions, and it can be even more depending on what other 3 cards you have in hand, because remember we only started with 2 cards with this combo, Queerness plus an extender, so you still have 3 cards in hand, which can be like hand traps. Also, it also depends whether or not you play a specific target for Seal. So it's more than just two disruptions, and under draw you have more than that, okay? Now, the way to do this combo, if we had a Hulky Fibrax Prism, actually allow us to already end with Arid Bear on the field, so that on the opponent's turn we can summon the Ares. So it's even more disruption with the Hulky Fibrax, okay? But again, since we're assuming we're not gonna get that card, this is the way to play under draw. So now let me show you what you can do if you get Fuva Lost. So let's say you open your hand with like Remus plus 4 other cards, okay? I'm just using the best case scenario here with 4 hand traps, but it can be any 4 cards. So you have Remus access and other cards, and then they Fuva you. So you can play around Fuva in 2 different ways. It all depends whether or not they activate Fuva before or after you resolve Queerness. So let me repeat that. The way you play around Fuvalos differ just slightly whether you get Fuva'd before Queerness resolves or after Queerness resolves, okay? So in this first example, I'm going to show you what you can do if Fuva was activated after Queerness resolved. So we're gonna start with the Remus here, get the Ravine, and then Ravine is gonna get us Queerness. We're gonna normal Queerness, and now we're gonna activate Queerness, and Queerness already resolved. So we already chose our target to add with Queerness. So now we're gonna activate the Lance, we're gonna get the Fortune, and we're gonna summon the Fortune with Queerness, right? And here they Fuva us. just before we synchro. Okay, so in this case, here is what you do. You summon back the Remus, you go into Guidork with Remus and Quernus, and Guidork is gonna search the Zephyros. Zephyros is gonna bounce back the Ravine and summon itself, and now Ravine is gonna activate it again for a second discard to get the Legatus. Okay, you don't need to do this if you already have an extender in hand. Okay, so this second discard is only if you don't have another extender in hand. Now we can summon the Legatus, and now we have 4 monsters plus a tuner, so we can go directly into Georgius. And this is the second draw that they're gonna get from Fuvaros. And now we're gonna summon back the Guidork from the graveyard. Guidork is gonna search and dump the Ringo Worm. We're gonna activate the Ringo Worm and then go into Crystal Wing, which will be our third draw from Fuvaros. Then we're gonna activate Fortune to equip any Dragunity from the deck to Georgius, just so that the Floodgate effect is online. Okay. Not only that, it also gives Georgius like a spell and trap negate. And then we end turn. So under Fuva, for 3 draws, you can end on Georgius, equipped, plus Crystal Wing, plus if they special summon, you can summon Arid Bear or Ares on their turn. So preferably here you summon Arid Bear. You don't want to summon Ares in this case because you don't have any way to equip anything on it on the opponent's turn in this particular case. So you summon the Arid Bear. Okay, so on the opponent's turn under Fuva, you will have 2 monster negates and 1 strong Floodgate plus a spell and trap negate. Okay, so that's the first way you can play under Fuvalos. So this was a late Fuvalos after Quernus resolved. So now I'm gonna show you what you can do if the Fuvalos was activated before Quernus resolves. So here with the same hand, Remus plus 4 other cards, what we can do here when the Fuvalos is activated early before we resolve the Quernus is the following. So we activate Remus and assume on the activation of Remus they activate Fuvalos. Okay, so here we already know that we are under Fuvalos, in which case once we normal summon the Quernus, instead of accessing the Divine Lance, we access the Divine Wind instead. And this is gonna allow us to save up on 1 discard. So the only discard we needed is to access Quernus. Okay, now we can just activate the Divine Wind on top of the Ravine, and because Ravine now is in the graveyard, we can use both effects of Divine Wind at the same time. But it's gonna be in sequence. So first thing, we add from the graveyard, so we're gonna add the Remus from the graveyard. We're gonna summon the Remus and equip it with Fortune. So in one move, not we had access to Remus back. So now we can go into Guidork. Plus, we accessed Fortune in just 1 effect, which is really good. This is the way to save up on 1 discard, basically. So now we're gonna summon back the Fortune by using Quernus' second effect. Gonna use the Remus plus the Quernus to go into Guidork. And we're gonna use Guidork to access Zephyros. We're gonna use Zephyros by bouncing back the Divine Wind, and now we're gonna use Remus from the graveyard to summon itself back. So now we have 4 monsters again with a tuner. We can go into Georgius immediately. Georgius is gonna summon back the Guidork. Guidork is gonna access the Ringo Worm. I'm gonna activate Ringo Worm to get access to a tuner and go into Crystal Wing. Again, this is 3 draws under Fuva, and we have the same setup as before. But this time we used 1 less discard. So it all depends on whether the Fuva resolved before or after your Quernus resolved. Obviously, you don't want to do this every time you get Fuva'd. You need to pay attention to your hand and see whether or not you have enough hand traps to support that end board, because the end board on its own is not strong enough. You want to support it with hand traps. So if you have like hand traps and you can do the Fuva combo, then it might be worth it. But if you don't have hand traps, it's gonna be risky to go for this combo for 3 draws under Fuva. So you need to make your own choice depending on the game that you're playing. Okay. So now that I've showed you how to play under Draw and under Fuva, we can move on to actually show you actual combos that you can do with the deck list. So The first combo I'm going to showcase is a very easy combo, very straightforward combo that you can do with just Remus plus 1 discard, or you can do this with Remus plus Queerness. Okay, so I'm gonna activate Remus and access Ravine. Now the important part here is that we have Remus in the graveyard when we have access to Ravine. So whenever you have Remus in the graveyard, access to Ravine, and you have access to Queerness, you can do this. Okay, so we're going to search the Queerness, normal summon the Queerness, and we're going to get Divine Wind. Now we're going to activate the Remus and go into Guidurg immediately. And Guidurg is going to activate to search and dump Falchion specifically. So Falchion is going to activate from the graveyard to specifically equip Phalanx. We want to keep the Kus in the deck because we're going to go into Barca later. So with Phalanx, we can just straight up go into Crystal Wing, and this was the 5th summon, and now we are protected from Nibiru. Now we can extend with Divine Wind, so we're gonna send the Ravine to the graveyard, and because now Ravine is in the graveyard, we can use both effects of Divine Wind in sequence. So we add from the graveyard first, and then we special summon the Queerness. Now, the Queerness is gonna get equipped with a Kus due to the effect of Divine Wind. So if you open Kus in your hand, what you can do is that equip any other Dragunity Dragon from the deck, right? And then use the effect of Queerness to bounce it back in the hand and then summon the Kus from your hand. Okay? But only do that if you already have access to Phalanx in the graveyard. Okay? Because remember, if you're going to go into Barca, you want both tuners in the graveyard, in this specific case. Obviously, you can combo without them, but that's different combos. I'm just talking about this specific combo. You only do this if you have access to both tuners. So we had access to the first tuner with Falchion earlier, and now we have this access to the second tuner with Divine Wind. In case you draw the Kus in the hand, you don't panic, you just equip any other Dragunity Dragon from the deck with the Divine Wind, and then bounce it back with Queerness, because we still haven't used the second effect of Queerness. Just bounce it back and then summon the Kus from your hand. Okay? Now that we have Kus and Queerness, we can go into Barca. And now Barca is important. He's gonna equip all the Dragunity Dragons in the graveyard. So both Kus and Phalanx plus the Guidurg. We're gonna summon both the tuners, and we're going to use them to go into Romulus. And here Romulus is going to search Glow specifically in this particular combo. So Glow is going to get us Mistletoe, and then we can activate Glow to summon the Guidurg from the Spell and Trap Zone. And Guidurg is going to search Zephyros. We're going to summon the Mistletoe from the hand by sending the Barca to the graveyard, and then we're going to equip Phalanx. And from this position here, we can do a lot of stuff. So you can reach this board state, and then from here, depending on how you build your extra deck, you can do a lot of things. Okay, here I'm gonna showcase a very straightforward combo with like a minimal like steps basically. So what you can do here is just immediately just go into Georgius, for example. You don't need to think too much, just go immediately into Georgius, summon the Lowen, Lowen equips the Phalanx, Phalanx summons itself, and now Zephyros can bounce back the Mistletoe. That gives us like enough materials to go into Arid Bear, and now the Lowen is going to equip to Georgius. Mistletoe is gonna summon itself back on the field because this is not once per turn. Like you can do it as many times as you want as long as you bounce it back to the hand. So by sending the Phalanx to the graveyard to special summon itself, it can re-equip the Phalanx, and now Phalanx is gonna summon itself back. That's a very nice like game loop. And now with those two we can go into Savage, and Savage is gonna equip the Romulus. So that's one of the combos that you can do. Very straightforward. You don't need to think too much. Just forcefully just summon the Georgius in the extra monster zone and just end on this type of end board, right? And this end board is pretty decent. Like you have two monsters negates, one destroys, one banishes. You have an Omni negate in Savage. You have a Georgius that is equipped with Lowen, but you don't need to send the Lowen for its spell and trap negates. You can just send the Romulus and keep the Lowen equipped to Georgius. So, and you have also the Ares and the extra deck that you can summon later on the opponent's turn as well. So that's a lot of disruption. And that's not to mention that you still have 3 cards in your hand, because we only started with one Remus plus 1 discard. So this is one of the combos. But maybe you don't want to summon the Georgius in the extra monster zone. Maybe you want to end on Seal, for example, which is the preferred way to play the deck. So if you want to end on Seal in the extra monster zone, then there are other combos that you can do, which I will showcase right now. So we're back at this point in the combo. So it's the exact same board state. So we have Romulus, we have Crystal Wing already, we have 2 level 6 dragons here like in Barca and Mistletoe, and we have the Phalanx. So the same exact board state. So from this position, what we can do if we want to end on Seal, one of the ways we can do that is basically immediately go into Atom. And here, a nice bonus with Atom is that if you play just like Magnamut, for example, or maybe Magnamut plus like a target, maybe another Bestial, maybe you want to play like Sheena or something. So you can just summon the Magnamut, activate its effect to add in the end phase, and then bounce back the Magnamut in hand and summon the Zephyros. Now Zephyros is going to synchro with the Phalanx into the Lewin, and Lewin is gonna get back the Phalanx. We can go into Pisty with Phalanx, and then with Atom and Romulus we can go into Triple Burst, and then with Pisty we can just summon back the Fortune, and we go into Georgius in the main monster zone this time, and Fortune is gonna summon back the Guidurg. And now we can go into Seal with Lewin and Pisty. Lewin is gonna equip itself to Georgius, and now we're gonna get Ring Worm with Guidurg, and we can end on Savage like earlier. So this is another way you can do it. So it's the same end board, but now you have extra cards in hand. You have like the Magnamut, plus whatever you want to search with Magnamut. It can be like Druis Worm, Boldrake, Sheena, another dragon if you want to. So, and you don't need to play the full Bestial package. This is still a pure version, but you just play like an extra Magnamut plus another target for it, for example, right? So this is something that you can do. And you don't need to play Magnamut specifically. You can just skip the Magnamut completely and maybe summon like Sheena or another dragon immediately with Atom and bounce that dragon with Zephyros. So you don't need to do this. This is just like a bonus effect, a bonus thing that you can do with the combo. And it's the exact same combo as earlier, but now we have the Seal in the extra monster zone and Savage, Crystal Wing, and we're going to summon the Arid Bear on the opponent's turn. Okay, so still very solid. And remember, besides these 2 cards, you still have 3 other cards in hand. So there is that. So this is one way you can do it. Let's just check another way you can do the combo. So we're back at the same board state, and now we're gonna just change a small thing in the combo to make our Georgius basically immune from Bell, because you can Bell the Georgius and prevent it from summoning. So in this particular way of doing things, we can just chain block the Georgius, but it's gonna like cost us like an extra extender, but which we have, because in this particular combo we make use of the Magnamut that we searched basically. So what we can do is go into Atom, same thing, search the Magnamut, again activate the Magnamut, get back the Magnamut in hand, go into Lewin, and here it's important to summon Lewin to the far left, because we want to keep these 2 zones for the Phalanx, because here what we can do in order to chain block the summon with the Georgius is that we can go into Striker Dragon instead of Pisty. Okay, we can just go into Striker Dragon. Obviously, because we want Striker Dragon, we won't have the extra body from Pisty. That's why we would need to summon the Magnamut. Okay, so here what we can do is, after summoning the Striker Dragon, we can go into the Georgius, by using all three monsters, like the Romulus, the Lewin, and the Atom. And now we can chain block the Georgius with Lewin. So chain-link 1 Georgius, chain-link 2 Lewin, and like that we can guarantee the summon with Georgius. It's just like a small optimization that you can do. So resolution, equip the Lewin and summon the Guidurg, and same thing, Guidurg searches and dumps the Ringo Worm. You can go into Savage. Savage equips the Romulus, and obviously here you can keep the Magnamut in hand if you want to, but there is no reason to. Just summon it and go into Seal. Like, the Seal is very good as part of the end board. It's a non-target bounce, which is very rare in Yu-Gi-Oh! So yeah, just an end phase, you summon, you search whatever you want to search with the Magnamut. In this case we search Truesworm, for example, and on the opponent's turn you summon Arid Bear as part of the end board. So that's another way you can do it if you want to chain block the Georgius. So let's check another way to combo. Okay, same hand, Remus plus 1 discard or Remus plus Querness. So I showed you so far the combos that go through Barca, right? So what if we don't want to go through Barca? Okay, maybe you don't, for some reason you don't want to go through Barca. You have like a hand that plays better into something else, or I don't know, like there is a reason why you don't want to go through Barca. Well, you can still do that with the same hand. So what you can do is, again, try to access Querness. So we get Querness, gonna summon Querness, same thing, get Divine Wind, go into Barca, but this time, instead of searching Falchion, we search Ringo Worm. We summon the token, and immediately we go into Crystal Wind. Now we can activate the Divine Wind, get back the Querness, summon it, and equip it with Falchion specifically, because at some point we need to access the Falchion, okay? So these type of combos you can do if you want to use like the least amount of extra deck monsters basically in the combo. Like basically the most efficient way to combo with the least amount of cards from the extra deck, if that makes sense. So now that we have access to Falchion, now we can use the Querness effect to bounce it back in the hand and summon it. And now we can go into Romulus. And because we did it this way, it's important that you get Divine Lance, not Glow. Okay, because we don't have access to any tuners yet, and we need to access both to complete the combo in this case, because we did not go through Barca. So in this case, we can just activate the Falchion in the graveyard to equip the first tuner from the deck, and now we can activate the Divine Lance to equip the second tuner from the deck. And from here, it's pretty like straightforward. You go into Pisty. Now, if for some reason you decided to not play Striker Dragon, you can just go immediately into Triple Burst, which what I do in this replay, or you can just go into Striker Dragon and do the exact same thing. Like, it doesn't change anything. It just depends on whether or not you play Striker Dragon. So here I just go into Triple Burst, activate Pisty, get back the Falchion, go into Georgius. It's a very similar combo to the other combos, except we did not go through like the Barca and the Atom and whatnot. So yeah. So this is a very like straightforward combo. With like we did not use Barca, we did not use Atom. So this is like the bare minimum, like the most optimized way to like combo without accessing Barca or Atom, basically, right? So in this combo, we're going to start with Querness plus 2 discards. And the reason why plus 2 discards is because we don't have access to Remus. So you always want to have access to Remus if you can. So I'm going to start by playing Querness, adding Divine Lance. Now Divine Lance is gonna equip the Remus. We're gonna bounce back the Remus, but we're not gonna summon it because we want to activate its effect to get Ravine. You always want to get access to Remus to get access to Ravine, okay? Because it's important to put Ravine in the graveyard. Now we can go into Gaidirk, we're dragon locked, and we're going to search with Gaidirk Zephyrus. And it's important here that you search with Gaidirk first before you activate Ravine, because you want to see whether or not Gaidirk gets negated, because that will change what you do with Ravine. Okay, so just get in the habit of doing that. Just search with Gaidirk first, see what happens, and then you can activate Ravine to continue your play. So here we can just discard and add Falchion, activate Falchion from hand to equip the Phalanx, and Phalanx is gonna go into Crystalline. That was the 5th summon, and now we are protected from Nibiru. Now we can activate Zephyrus to bounce back the Ravine, activate Ravine again, and now we're going to send Destrudo to the graveyard. Destrudo is going to summon back, and we're going to AFD. And AFD is going to destroy Ravine to get us Divine Wind. And now we can just continue from there, get back the Quirness, equip the Koos. The Koos is going to go into Barca, and this is basically the highest ceiling combo in the deck if you play AFT and Destrudo. Like, this is the basically you get everything with this combo. So yeah, same thing, add Glow, then add Mistletoe. Glow is going to summon the Gaidirk, and Gaidirk is going to send the Ringworm to the graveyard. So you see here it's kind of similar board state than before, but because we sequenced differently at the start and we used AFD, then the sequencing changes a little bit when you come to this particular step. So here we can go straight into Pisty. We don't need to go through Atom, and then we can use the Barca to go into Triple Burst. Pisty can summon back the Barca, and now we can go into Georgius. Georgius is gonna summon the Lewin. Lewin is gonna equip the Phalanx. Phalanx is gonna summon, and now we're going into the Seal, and Lewin is going to equip to Georgius. We can summon the Mistletoe from hand, re-equip the Phalanx, summon back the Phalanx, and now we can go into the Borreload Savage. Savage is gonna equip the Triple Burst, and then we can finally use the Ringworm to go into Ares. And yes, you see this correctly, we summoned Ares as part of the end board. So why did we do this in this particular combo? Well, like I said earlier, this is basically the combo where you get everything at once. This is basically you have full gas. So the reason why you wanna sometimes, you don't do this every time obviously, because we could have just equipped the Koos instead of the Phalanx with Mistletoe and just go into Arid Bear instead. So we would have Arid Bear plus Savage instead of Ares plus Savage, okay? We could have done that, but I think, in my opinion, ending on Ares is a little bit better. The reason why is because sometimes you play against decks that don't really care much about the Floodgate from Georgius, okay? They can simply place around it. One such deck is, one of the meta decks I would say, is Sky Striker. So Sky Striker doesn't really care too much about Georgius because they mostly use the spell cards to start their plays and to actually break the board. So you want to focus on that. So what you do is you can, if you have enough gas and if you have the cards and you did not get disrupted too much and you can make this board, you should do it, because in best of one you don't know what you're playing against, and this gives you options. Because now when you play in the ranked ladder, what you do is end on this end board, pass turn, and see what your opponent is playing. If your opponent is playing a deck that loses to Georgius, then you know you want to keep the Georgius equipped with Lewin, in which case, if you ever need to use Georgius to negate a spell or trap card, you know that you can just send the Triple Burst to the graveyard. Okay, you don't need to make it offline by sending the Lewin. You can just send the Triple Burst, keep the Floodgate alive, and they will have a hard time breaking your board, right? This is in case you play against a deck that loses to Georgius. However, if you play against a deck that does not lose to Georgius, keeping the Georgius equipped with Lewin doesn't do anything, right? That's where Ares come into play. Ares, in this situation, if you see that you're playing against a deck that loses to that does not lose to Georgius, that can play around Georgius, in which case, once you negate a spell or trap card with Georgius, you can instead send the Lewin to the graveyard and then re-equip the Lewin to the Ares. Now you have enabled Ares to be a quick effect pseudo omni negate, because you can negate any face-up card on the field, right? So now, even though the deck that you're facing does not lose to Georgius, now they're gonna have to deal with Ares that has 2 monster cards in the spell and trap zones, because this Ares, once it is equipped with Lewin, it can negate on a quick effect any face-up cards, but up to 2 cards in this case, because there are 2 monster cards in the spell and trap zones. So they have to play around that now, okay? So this is the strength of this particular endboard, is it allows you to adapt on the fly depending on which type of deck you're facing. If the deck loses to Georgius, then you keep Georgius equipped with Lewin and you send the triple burst instead. But if the deck does not really care about Georgius, and there are a lot of decks like that, especially like back row heavy decks that play a lot of spells and traps, in that case, you want to send the Lewin to the graveyard, re-equip it to Ares, and now you have a pseudo omni negate that can negate up to 2 cards, face-up cards on the field, because you control like 2 monster cards in the spell and trap zones. So that's like an adaptive play you can do on the fly, depending on which deck you're facing. And you're gonna see what card they're gonna play, obviously, because they're gonna start playing cards. So you're gonna know which option are you gonna choose, basically, right? And obviously, don't forget that you're still going to summon the Arid Bear on their turn. So if they summon the monster, like a special summon the monster. So yeah, so this is the strength of the ultimate board, basically, if you play like this. And again, keep in mind that all of this assuming that we don't get the Halki Fibrax Link 3, okay? This is all because we play like triple burst and whatnot. If we get the Halki Fibrax Link 3, then all of this will change, okay? Not all of it, I shouldn't say all of it, but most of it is gonna change. Most of the combos are gonna change because the new Halki Fibrax Link 3 makes these plays even better and easier, okay? And it plays through disruption even better. So yeah, so all of this is without the Halki Fibrax. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys found it very like instructive and like helpful. If you don't understand anything, or if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I would really appreciate it if you leave a like and comment in the video, and share this video with your friends if you have like friends that are interested in Dragunity. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a like, comment, and share this video with anyone who's interested in Dragunity, or maybe not interested, but you think they might be interested in this deck. And yeah, in the next video, I will make combo guides about like maybe the Fenrir package, because that package is very interesting, because especially with the new ban list on May 7th, Fenrir is going to 3, so we can utilize that. Obviously, the package has its pros and cons, which I will explain in the next video. So yeah, keep an eye on that. And thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Like I've been recording for almost an hour, so hopefully I did not yap too much and you found this video very helpful. So don't forget to subscribe, please. It will help me a lot. I'm trying to make this channel like monetized, and maybe I can be a full-time streamer, like, and just spam Dragunity on Twitch and YouTube as well. So, and you can help me with that. So yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.